Hello everyone, this is my Halloween makeup for this year. I'm just starting out by finding areas on my face that don't move too much so that I can place some wounds there. And then I am going in with some alcohol and just removing any oils from the skin. You could use a toner if you'd prefer, but I just had the alcohol on hand. Now I'm going in with my gelatin mixture. I will leave the recipe and the video that I used down below. It's really simple to make. You can find all of the ingredients in your baking aisle at the supermarket. I want to keep this fairly thin just so that it doesn't look like a lump of gelatin on my skin, but it needs to be thick enough that I can create a flap. I took this fairly large, which I probably wouldn't do again, and I took it down to my temple, which I didn't need to do at all. I found that the smaller wounds looked better and more realistic in the end. I also found that the wounds that I prepared for, planning out areas that didn't move too much and using the alcohol lasted better throughout the night. These first two on my face lasted brilliantly, no lifting at all. I also decided to add some gelatin to other areas of my face, not to be wounds as such, just to add a little oddness to the texture of my skin. I feel like zombies wouldn't have smooth skin, so I thought, why not? I should have cleaned these areas with alcohol beforehand. The gelatin I put on my chin did lift quite quickly. I decided to put a wound onto my neck. I didn't really plan this out very well. There was a lot of movement in my neck and this did lift quite quickly. Again, I forgot to clean this with alcohol first. So just be aware of your body movement and make sure to clean the skin well before applying any wounds. I'm now using a mattifying primer just to take the shine off of the gelatin, because you can see it is quite shiny. And also the primer will help any other makeup I put on top last all night. I'm now using a fairly full coverage, cool toned, pale concealer. I would suggest going a couple shades lighter than your natural skin tone so it looks more believable, and definitely sticking with a cool toned foundation. You don't want any warmth in your skin because you are dead. I would also suggest use a matte foundation. Zombies are not known for their dewy, healthy glow. I'm now going in with a green concealer from an eBay concealer palette, which I'll try and link down below. And I'm just putting that over any areas of redness that are still peeking through. Basically mottling this shade and then a purple and a white concealer shade to give my skin an uneven skin tone, really. I layer this up and I end up going back a few times throughout the whole video, just adding color where I feel like it's needed. You definitely want to take all the color out of your lips. You want to look as deoxygenated and sick, dead as possible. You also want to use these concealers to correct the yellowness of the gelatin and just try and blend it in with your skin tone better. I'm taking a pale powder to just brush over my neck and chest area to pale it down a little bit. Again, I'm going in with some other concealer colors just to give an odd skin tone. Now going in with a cool toned purple eyeshadow, and I'm going to pop that into my eye sockets, exaggerating any eye bags that you may have. Trying to look as tired and dead as you can. You can do this as much or as little as you want. I'm also going to take this around my nose, into my mouth expression lines. I'm going to contour my cheekbones and my temples. Basically just trying to make my face look sunken and dead. You just want to look as dead as possible. I don't know how else to say it. There's a lot of layering in this, and even though I'm now putting a powder on top of cream, I still go back and put more creams on top. It doesn't matter if you end up cakey, although I don't think I did. I'm doing this fairly messily as well. There's not anything super accurate about it. You're trying to basically make it look like you're decaying, and I don't think that it's always going to happen symmetrically. At this point I decided I wanted to put something on my mouth, so I'm taking a black eyeshadow and just putting that on the inner part of my mouth, and you can see it exaggerates the chapped look of my lips because they were quite dry. Now I'm taking another brush and a blue eyeshadow, and I'm going to put it basically everywhere that I put the purple. This is all going to be down to personal preference. You might pick to use blue first, or you might not feel the need to layer up more colours. I just felt, why not? And here I used the brush that I had used to do the black on my mouth and didn't realise that it had black on, so I'm trying to blend that down, and I actually ended up going over it with concealer just so it wasn't too crazy. I think it's at about this point that I start feeling very zombie and making odd facials throughout the rest of the video. I don't know what that was. I'm just hollowing out my neck as well. The camera overheated for a second, and whilst I was letting it cool down, the chin skin flaps kind of lifted off a bit, so I'm just colouring in underneath where those were, just so that I don't have the pink skin showing through. Now it's time to open up my wounds. You really don't need a tool for this, you can just use your fingernails, but I thought I'd start off with a tool, but I did find it easier just to use my hands. I did go in with concealer here, but you completely do not need to do this step because it all gets covered up anyway. Now I'm peeling a wound in my forehead. I think this wound might have been my favourite wound of all of the wounds. And same again on the cheek. You kind of want to hold down the edges so that you don't peel those up whilst you're ripping the gelatin. If you didn't want the flap, you could trim that down. I'm now going in with a black eyeshadow to add some depth to the wound. I am dead, so I don't need it to look fresh. I want it to look dark and decaying. You don't need to be too neat about this. If you get a bit of the eyeshadow or anything on the skin, just give it a bit of a smudge. Maybe pretend it's a bit of dirt. Now taking an OCC Lip Tar. This is a matte browny red colour, and I'm just going to use that to add colour to the wounds. I'll try and leave the name in the description box for you, but you can use any lipstick, or if you've got a cream paint or anything at all really that's a dark red colour, like an aged blood colour. You see there I got some onto the skin, just give it a bit of a smudge and it looks completely normal. Well, as normal as a zombie look can look. I also chose to put some onto other areas of my face just so that it didn't look like I only had blood or wounds in one area. You know, I feel like you would smudge it to other areas of your body accidentally in your zombie actions. I also pushed the flaps of skin back onto the wounds so that the inner part of that would be colored red. And then I took a bit of it onto the inner part of my lips and smudged it about a bit just so it looked like I had been feasting on humans. Now it's time for the fake blood. You can go crazy with this stuff. It is, my fake blood is made of glucose syrup, red food coloring, and I can't remember if I used blue or green, but just, you have an experiment, maybe make a few batches. I will say it did bead up a bit on the lip tar, but I didn't mind that too much. It just looked like clotted blood. And like I said, you can put as much or as little as you like. I took my blood with me and topped it up throughout the night, especially the blood around my mouth. Because it is a glucose syrup, you can eat it, and I kept licking my lips, and it tastes really nice, really. I chose to give myself a bit of a bloody nose. Once this stuff is on, it doesn't move around too much. It kind of dries a little bit because it is a sugar syrup. It's not too bad. Obviously, if you touch it, it will move. But it didn't run around my face or anything like that. It was quite easy and comfortable to wear. As comfortable as the blood is to wear. And again, I just smudged some on the rest of my face. Next, I decided to grease up my hair, and I thought I would condition it at the same time. So I'm taking some hair oil and just running that through my hair. Basically got it all over my hair from root to tip, but you'd probably want to focus it on your scalp and then work from there. Off camera, I did put in a bit of olive oil just because it wasn't looking greasy enough for me, and I back combed my hair a little bit as well. If you've got naturally wavy or curly hair, I think this would look a lot better. I had straightened my hair a couple of days before this and I hadn't washed it, so I wish I'd had my natural wave, and I feel like it would have looked more wild and untamed. But this is basically the finished look. I did go in afterwards, after I filmed the video, and put in a few veins using a fine eyeliner brush and some purple, green and blue eyeshadow. They're really easy to do, and you can see those in the photo that I put in at the end. I feel like the photo definitely shows the colors better. The flash on this, like I said, is it doesn't give the best video quality. There are also a few bloopers at the end if you'd like to stick around and watch those. Here's my finished costume. I got the socks from Kmart, the skirt I made, the shirt I bought at the warehouse for $5 and just messed it up a bit. I also have a wound on my arm because I felt like I didn't have enough depth on the rest of my body, and I chucked in a bit of black eyeshadow, just dusted over any parts of my skin that were exposed to give it more of a grey, dead looking skin. And that's the finished makeup look. I hope you enjoyed, and I will see you next time. It's gonna be a bright, bright, sunshiny day. On a global scale. Baby, you're a firework. Come on, shooting across the sky. Baby, you're a firework. Shout. Mm-hmm.